Good day, hey, hi, and welcome. Sun! Flare out. There you go. Port truck. I got two more tasks today. One is clean out this port truck. Yeah. Take them off the road for the winter, I think. I think that's just the smart thing to do. But today's video is a little bit different. Today, we're going to be talking about not trees, but leaning hydro poles. Dun, dun, dun. I have a friend out east that had a question for me, so for East Coast Canadian, about cutting the hydro pole. So I got a bunch of stuff to say about it, and some recommendations. First, the problem with this hydro pole is, well, there's quite a few problems there. It's not a big deal, but it's yes, this tree right here will demonstrate perfectly what's wrong with this hydro pole. So observe. So it's a bit of a lean to his hydro pole. Not that extreme, but what we're going to be talking about. Can I get into this sucker just so I can... I should have brought a marker with me, but he's got a hydro pole. So the first thing I'm going to say, dude, before you even thinking of taking a chainsaw to that hydro pole, okay? Find out if you're allowed to cut it, because I have clients that... I've got probably about 50 trees sitting there waiting to be cut that I can't cut because A, it's too close to the house. It's there's, you know, phone line, hydro line, whatever. It's stuff that I can't get away with falling it without hitting that with what I have, right? So they have to unfortunately go to a much man, that tree's really leaning. I just realized that now. Holy smokes. Yeah. I just noticed that now. I didn't even realize how much it was. Okay, yeah, looks like I got a project for myself. This pier I had cleared like 2 years ago. Look at how much it's growing in, mainly the friggin' sumacs. But anyway, getting back to it. So I had one client, just to give you an idea. They got a guy to fall some trees for them, and the guy I know very well, and this guy worked all his life in the bush kind of thing. But even the pros will make a mistake once in a while. And his mistake was the tree, it snapped in half as it was coming down, and strangely enough, it went backwards, hit the power line, caused him some damage. Next thing you know, the client has a $10,000 or $12,000 repair bill from Quebec Hydro, right? So there's that. The other one is just the jurisdiction. Are you allowed to cut it down? So I would call your hydro company, find that out before you even think about cutting anything down. Because you might cut it down in a couple, it'll be like 2 days after they just decide to inspect that street and, oh hey, somebody took our hydro pole down, even if it was no good. They did that. Okay, here's the bill. It's $60,000. Hydro poles are not cheap. $10,000 to $60,000 is probably realistic, and they will nail you. They will nail you for it. So get that out of the way. Assuming that they say go ahead, we don't give a shit. The next thing is, you said you got a 291 saw. That's a nice saw. That's a 55cc saw, so that's a nice saw. First thing is the chain sharp on it. If you don't know if the chain's sharp on it, go buy a new chain. Just go buy a new chain. Chain's about 20 bucks, 30 bucks tops, right? For that bar. Take your saw in. Unless you know somebody who knows how to sharpen a chain really well, just start with a new chain. Because if your chain is dull, and you might go like that with your finger, say, you know, like, get somebody who knows about chainsaws to tell you whether it's dull or not. They might look at it and say, oh no, dude, that thing's like new. It's no problem. Here, I'll touch it up with my files for you. If you don't know how to do that, just go with a new chain. It's cheap. It'll save you a lot, because chains don't stay sharp forever, right? So we'll say that the saw is ready to go. Everything's working good. You know, you do the chain tension, all that stuff. You see all kinds of videos on that. Then once you got that sorted out, you come up your leaning hydro pole. I know his hydro pole is not leaning anything like this, but whether it's leaning this much or this much, the problem is the same. And the first recommendation I would say is go get somebody who knows how to cut stuff down. Leaners. Not just, yeah, I use a chainsaw all the time, dude, I'll do it for you. Not that guy. The guy that say, you know, yeah, if he goes, yeah, it's leaning, okay, I'll cut it. Don't get that guy. If he says, oh, it's a leaner, he's dealt with it before, you know. And a lot of guys will say, oh yeah, that's no problem. That's going to come down real easy because it's leaning. No, the trees that are easy to cut down are the ones that are straight up and down, because you have control of where it's going to go. Like that big ass poplar back down there, I don't know if you could see it, probably about 100 feet tall. That sucker's no problem to fall because the tension is straight up and down pretty much. With this, what gets you with this is that this tree can kill you very easily. I'll let Mr. Rig go by there. So you got a tree that's got a lot of weight at the top, okay, which is pulling the back strap here, okay, and it's crushing here. So you go to cut, you do your notch, just do a regular notch down like this, about 10% of the tree, and you come out about there. Now, as soon as you start cutting in this way, what happens is the tension starts coming off this back strap, but you still got all this tension here, and it wants to fold somewhere, say about here up. Right? And as the tree goes to fall, it doesn't fall. What happens is this lets go before this, and before you could even make it to about a 2-inch, so you got your notch cut here, and you got about a 2-inch hinge here that you're going to have on each side, like cut it up. You leave a bit of meat there so it has something. If you try to cut it all the way through, the thing will probably pop back on you and kill you. But what happens is, before you can even get to here, somewhere around here, either A, your saw is going to get jammed, or B, this is going to go split back and kill you. And it's called a barber chair. All right, you probably heard that in your little course. Whatever. How am I doing for time? Okay, we're good. So the cuts, I'll show you the simple cuts of what you're going to do, but I really recommend for your, you know, like even though it's a hydro pole, you don't have all the weight at the top like you do on a tree, you still have the potential of the problem. So one thing you can do is put straps, big bear straps around it. I'll show you the kind of straps I'm talking about. And you can do 2, do 3 if you've got little straps, triple up on them. It's just to play it as safe as you possibly can. Okay, so the odds of it barber chairing on here are pretty good to okay, you know, because you don't have a major heavy leaner there, and like I said, there's not a lot of weight at the top, but it's still something that can get you, and it's just a safety thing. So if you have, say, a couple of straps like this, if you don't, I use straps, I don't use chains, because if the chain breaks, the whole chain's coming back at you. Where if this breaks, you put the buckle part or the ratchet part, you know, facing away from you. So if it did barber chair and snap the strap, you just get whacked by the strap. You know, maybe you like that sort of thing, I don't know, whatever. But you get whacked by the strap and not a chain, because the chain, well, that's going to maim or kill you, right? So you put that around the trunk, and if you got the tractor there, don't try to pull it down. You could probably try to pull it down to a degree, but you're still going to have that barber chair thing happening and whatever. It depends, because you got to understand, like that thing's probably going to be in the ground 10 feet, you know what I mean? Like it's, so pulling it out, it's not going to be easy either. So that's not a, no, you really got to cut it, right? And it's pressure treated, so chances of it being rotted in the center are lower, but if it is rotted in the center, this thing can all just splinter on you. So you put your straps, if your cut's going to be about, say, here, whatever you can get away with, you know, I would start about here on a leaner or something like that, just because it's easier to work with. If you go up too high, things get, you want to stay below chest level if you can. That's just a me thing. I don't know if other people would agree with that, but I've had to cut leaners up to, you know, leaners like this. I did about, give you an idea. Last year, my buddy and I, between the two of us, we did 150 Manitoba maples, from probably a little bit smaller to this to about, well, the biggest one was probably about, you know what, almost 4 feet at the, well, the base was like 6 feet wide, because there was like 8 of these coming out of one tree. Not one of them was straight. So I've dealt with leaners. Leaners are friggin' hit-miss thing, but there is ways to do it. The cut I would use is just your traditional cut, but I would do a bore cut. This is why I think you should get somebody more experienced to do it, or go out and practice it. If you're not in a rush to do it, Go get some experience with the saw. See what the saws are going to do. Go get your saw jammed in a tree a few times so that you can understand how to the saw. I would definitely get wedges. So what I would do is a traditional face cut like this. So about 10% of the tree. Make sure it's as even across as you can, right? Level as across as you can. And come in about, say, about 10% of the tree. Then you're going to leave a hinge that goes right through the whole tree, about 2 inches, like a 2-inch strip, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to start the bore cut. And if you don't know how to do a bore cut, again, it is what it is. Now, there's a bunch of different ways to do this. I know some people say that's not the best way to follow a leaner. I get that, but this is somebody that's new to chainsaw. With the size of the hydro pole, I'm pretty sure you'll get away with this. So you start cutting in and you plunge right through the other side. That's even with your face cut for now. I know there's ones that go lower, go higher, but we're doing one plunge cut and we're going to get the bar all the way to the other side. Hence, you need a really sharp chain to do this. If you don't have the sharp chain to do this, your saw is going to get bogged out. You're going to either A, burn out your saw, or B, have your saw stuck in there. Now, what you're going to do is once you get through the other side, you're going to start coming back. Now, when you come back, you're going to leave maybe about this much, 2-3 inches of the pole, right, as a strap. So you'll have a strap right here. Now, from this point, you can take the saw out, right, and put in wedges. And if you can go to a chainsaw shop and get yourself, something thick enough that you're going to be able to break this strap, right? So what you do is you get a sledgehammer and you bang these things in, maybe put 2 on top of each other, a little bit of sawdust in between them, like